This is day 224, the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. If you would sponsor an upcoming share or more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, you greatly appreciate it. Please contact me directly. We continue to be, excuse me, still in Simon Kuf Nutes, and today we're doing Chaf to Chaf Zayin. Definitely making progress here in the second volume of the Arukh HaShulchan Piskei Mishnah Berurah. So we were talking yesterday about a pitcher which has like a spout on top, but you can do an Natil sign through that spout, and it look grim for that purpose. It says, "Chaf l'fiza became shlosh kshena blita oil l'mal minakli." So the spout goes higher than the vessel, but if the our kingdom that the blita does, that the spout, the protrusion to which you pour, does not go higher than the vessel, mutar litol. You can watch through the protrusion. But if it's higher than the keli, you cannot. It's not appropriate to watch through there. I will show there, but you're not going over the protrusion. It is permissible. Urns which are made to heat out water, going samovar. That's one of the rare Eastern European words which we all, well, I shouldn't say all, which I'm familiar. Sheish Lamat Dad, which has a spout below, Shemisham Shofchin Achamin, through which you pour out the hot water derech barza through a spigot. Derech barza shebadad through a spigot which is in that kind of faucet. Going kron, chen kliglos going hand pas. Sheshovisham harbi mayim, where you put a lot of water, madish darim, and at the bottom there are these spouts. Sherotzito mehem, and when you want to take water from them, magbim hadani lamalo. I guess there's some sort of trap door on those datim, and you pick it up, and then the water spills out. When you remove your hand, then the door closes down. You start Motzei and the water is sealed up inside. You can wash through that hole in that spout in the pot. To make sure each time you pour, you have to pick up that stopper and put it back down again. Pick up the stopper and put it down again, which would also be the case with the faucets which we have. And this will be clarified later on. When you're turning the faucet or pushing the lever on the samovar, so then, yes, okay, the same thing. Evidently, they put a chainik as a kettle. So they put the kettle on top of the samovar. You can, a little teapot, short and spout. You can turn you over, short and stout. You can turn you over and wash the Tilas 9 with you. You go to the Shabo. You go through that pipe, through comes out of it. Go through a faucet in a barrel. When every time you pour, you told Habarza, I guess this was a stopper which came in and went out. And put it back. And the water should come through the human force. For this, we can extrapolate all sorts of kalim of similar or dissimilar qualities. The Mishnah Berurah says that the only issue is with where the spout is a semicircle, but if the spout is a full tube, then it's permissible even if it goes above the rim of the vessel. Magen Avraham says, actually, since what the Magen Avraham says, what's it to pour through that tube? Some, but nevertheless, some do aser through that tube. Mishnah Berurah says if a faucet is lower than the rim of the vessel, then you should only do this time through the faucet and not over the rim. It says some people are making this. Mishnah Berurah says that the Magen Avraham says when you wash from the handpas, you have to do revius and one shot on the hand. which the Bura says that they'll make sure that the water does not drip through the holes in the vessel. Since I don't know exactly what a handpas looks like, I can't really comment on that with any intelligence. Maybe find a picture of the handpas. Well, I could not find a picture of a handpas, but I can tell you that in the Yiddish translation of the Chumash called Targum Yehoash, it says that the kior is translated as handpas. So I guess it's a form of kior. And to the extent that it clarifies anything. Okay, let's go further. Chafal, Kvanis Bayer. So it been clarified. V'chokim, notlim, yodayim. You can use any vessel to wash. But specifically things which you normally use to hold water, as opposed to as opposed to a sack and or a kupa is like a basket, and levadim is I guess a linen pocket. Oh no, he explains what it is. Levadim is henekavam. I mean olim, a hat or a shoe. Shel levadim of linen shkoin pilsets. Afilu tikin asak l'sheves below smicha. Even made the sack so somehow able to sit without being supported. Zoftam bezefes, and you lined it with pitch. Achim galim mashkin to the point that now it can hold beverages. Ain't a dime. You can't use it for washing. That's not their point. You might have found an interesting way to make them suitable to hold liquids, but that's not their actual purpose. And these levadim, even though they're hard, water doesn't flow out of them, nevertheless, they're not made in order to hold water. Because if you're in a tight spot, you're allowed to use it. The because travelers do use them evidently to hold the water and to drink. Mishnah Berurah cautions that that's only when they're hard and water doesn't flow out of them. And this is the end of the quote from the Beis Yosef. Those who argue says that even when you're in a tight spot it doesn't work. That is Yam Shlema. Your Rabbah says that if you rely on the Beis Yosef, you have what to rely on. Mishnah Berurah says that the Marshal argues and holds that a hat which is not made to hold water at all is not better than a sack or a basket. Chaim writes the Shas and Chagodos, such as it and you when you're on the road. And know the keli, you should wash from this without a bracha. And he says, and at that point, since it's not necessarily good to dime, you should also wrap your hand in a cloth. But it's not Shas and Chag, you should be machmir. Because even the people who are travelers in our day and age don't use these vessels or containers to drink. And Prima Ganim also writes not to make a bracha on this netila. It's interesting that I believe during war time, the soldiers used their helmets as pots to cook in from time to time. But probably that does not make it a clear royal shasiyah either, just because people occasionally use it for that purpose. Back to the Arukh HaShulchan. Says this is only those hats which are sometimes used to drink water. But not in that sack or a basket. I'm not sure if you line the sack with pitch and it's used to hold water like a canteen. I would seem that it should be not also the same as those hats. I need to clarify. That's a slight mistake. I looked it up to make sure. Liv vadim actually comes from the word bad, and it doesn't necessarily mean linen. It can mean fabric, cloth, canvas of any type. And I guess these hats were made of some kind of strengthened fabric, in the way that they could actually hold water in them. Some sort of heavy, tough canvas of some sort. Anyway, Bekim Sha'or, having a kol kalim, vessels made out of leather are like any other keli, V'notli mem yadayim, can wash them. Sharei notice or have bay mishtamshim ben mashkim. You have many goat skins, leather vessels are used for liquids. You'll see, like it says, by Yoel, vatiftachas nora chalav atashkeu. Yoel opened the goat skin of milk and gave a sister the drink. The thing is, the goat skins usually can't stand on their own. It has to be a vessel which can stand on its own without support. But notice, these goat skins are just like pockets. It's just that you blow them up when you want to put water in them. It's because they still don't stand on their own, and therefore not kosher tisadaim. Chemus ukvisha. This is the chemus ukvisha are tough, and they're like barrels or buckets. Shem notice which are made out of leather. Shetikna, which you fix with some base mashav and made a place where you can set them down. Sheyuchul lamobli tmicha, they can stand without support. Notim hem yadayim, you can use that in order to wash. Chabez v'zeshin is ba'er. Shakli sheholim meli yadayim tzichul lamobli tmicha. That which you said, that the cleave from which you're doing the tilas yadayim has to be able to stand without support. Zeb tamkin. That's by generic kelim. Avol yesh minei kelim she'asim lechatchila she'echol amobli smicha. There are certain types of kelim which are made initially to begin with that they can't stand without support. Vikar tashmisham ayis smicha. The primary way you use them is through their being supported. Notim mehem yadayim, you can use them to wash. Kem shikar tashmisham kenu, and because that's the primary way in which you use. Chashiv shaper kelim, that's considered to be a vessel in a vessel. That's the primary way it's used. Therefore, our handpas, our kior, where the faucets are underneath, if they come out mamish from the bottom of the keli. So you can't put it down directly on the ground or on a bench. And rather they nail it into the wall, and it is hanging on in the air. You can wash from it, because that's the way you normally use it. It sounds like something where, like, you push up the bottom and the the stuff comes out, kind of like a hand cleanser thing. Okay, Chav Gimel. That which requires there should be no hole in the vessel. It's a type of vessel which is made to have holes. Which because of a Rambam Perikukas Mikem Zel Shono, the Rambam writes that a titrus, Afabishu Nokuf, Umotzi Priklus, even though it has holes, and those holes are big enough for coins to fall out, Mis Tameh becomes Tameh. Shai Miskansim but Stodim, because water collects in its sides, and Masuin Kabbalah, and they're made to hold water. Mishnah Bekalim is the Mishnah themselves. Kefir Klishu Molin Kefir covering Mitachtov, therefore a vessel which has holes full of holes at the bottom, Upib Tsar Milamab, and narrow, its mouth is narrow on the top. Shechadam its bowl of Eina Maim Yotzim. It's like looks like something like a shower, right? And when you put your finger on the pipe on top of the shower head, it holds the water in, holds the water intact because of the vacuum you created and the air pressure on the bottom. There's a bit of physics there. When you remove your finger on Maim Yotzim, water comes out from those like shower head holes. Mutzah you can use it to wash. Abu Shino Machzik Klum, even though in theory it doesn't hold anything unless you put your hand there. The Kabbalah, being a since it works to hold water in this manner. Zeu Ikar Tashmish, this primary way it's used. Nikra Keli, it's called a vessel. Mishnah Berurah says that there's no difference in this case. It seems from the Mechaber there's no difference between small holes or large holes. But Lashon Rambam sounds like it only works when they're like small holes, like you have in a shower head. That even when you take off your finger, the water doesn't come out immediately, only a little bit at a delay. But when the holes are larger, it's usher. The Arukh HaShulchan doesn't seem to make such a distinction. Back to Arukh HaShulchan himself. And a special vessel like that has a spigot below. The covering gedolin, even though it's great holes. Shabrazo still so smart. which the faucets are closing. Since they made old water, by closing these spigots, nothing may be a dime. You can use it in order to wash the tilas yadayim. The Mishnah Berurah says you're allowed to wash both, in this case, both from the barza at the bottom and also from the top through the opening. Although if it's nailed to the wall, I don't see how that's going to work. Back to if you have a complete vessel and it has a hole, when you plugged it with something, we had this before, bestima tamidis, with a permanent plug. Mahani works. The susmo, once it's plugged, it's called mikre kli. Chavdal. Yesh mishkosav sheish kelim shel b'dio, shekoren giskan. I think b'dio is copper or bronze. Copper, I think. Let's check that out. Not copper, tin. Okay. So there are the vessels made out of tin. Shekoren giskan. I guess to put at the meal to wash from. They have a big hole at the top. Near the rim. Somehow this hole is made for the purpose of adornment. That you can I guess some people say you can use it. Nevertheless, you should not wash over the rim, but through the hole. It's not like a vessel full of holes. Should be unaware. We just explained the mutar lito mem you can use it to wash. Doesn't come in there. The holes are. Here it says the holes are small. Dakim, they're thin. I don't think it means like the Mishnah Berurah, because even these I assume think relatively to the hole in this case it would be much smaller hole. As opposed to this great hole, even though it's made for the adornment, the fine house it's a large hole. And it renders possible that which is above it. Even about the thin holes, some people disagree. But we rely on this we're matir on these. But not such a big hole. With which you use in order to draw out liquids from a barrel. Where the big holes on both sides. I guess it's some sort of tube which has holes. Also, you can't use it for washing. Because also on the other side, it's a big hole. Below down the titrus sheni's bar, and not like the titrus which was permissible. She learned about the previous sif. Since you have to do natilas, that's really kli. So it's understood that Reuven can't take water in his hands. The water in Shimon's hands not come from a vessel. Not only this, if Shimon himself takes water with one hand from a vessel, right? Takes this and pours it like that. It doesn't work. Obviously, you should be able to show you mind with the keli, even though for the first hand the water came through from a keli. So litol hashnia odapam, you have to wash a second hand again from a keli. Now there are great rabbis who have permitted this, and the permit is this, which evidently which says Rabbeinu Tam. The kemishish natila may keli l'mayim elu, since it originated kli and it went into the first hand from a kli. You can use then the water in your first hand to wash your second hand. The minig is being made like this, but its primary halacha is not to be made. Therefore, preferable to be machmer lechatchila. Mishnah says that the marshal is machmer even b'di'evet. And according to Ramo, is make it's only b'shas chak. But if you get water relatively quickly, you should wash again. So of course, without bracha, because you already washed once, and it's a suffix. I'm not back to Arukh HaShulchan, but then certainly said Gamadas and make even according to the lean you have to be careful. Shammai shir the achas lo yutmeim, that the water in his first hand should not be tome. Vayishbocha lerevius bas achas, meaning you have to pour a whole revius in on one shot, which makes it tohar. Yishbocha hayad akol yad kaf valagav. You should pour in the entire hand, palm and back. But us then we pour on the second hand. For the first hand, yotza das and make up. It's okay according to the more lenient opinion. The located was not the case. They need more mine. The water is tummy. They're going to be time in the second hand instead of making it Torah. Sorry, this is not the place to do it. He's borrowed. Don't worry, they're coming up. The Bir Halacha writes that the Gra holds, and it holds that argues and quotes the Kohen Rabbeinu Tam. It's mutter no matter how much you pour on the first hand. But nevertheless, says Mishnah, it doesn't make a difference because Ladina we aser. Mishnah says that also it's again you have to have, like I was showing, you have to pour revius on the first hand properly, inside it out. Because if you pour all of it into your palm, that's not appropriate, and it's not appropriate, not a chalei shem netila, and your first hand remains tamei, and also the water becomes tamei as a result, and you can't. The second hand will not be purified. Mishnah says further. So the Chorayim say again, it's not again Maisa. Mishnah, but the Chorayim said regardless, only allow this from one hand to another, but not to rub hands and touch one another. Pouring, but not rubbing. Because you rub and touch, even if the first hand is tahor, it's going to come tamei when the second hand touches it. So you have to spill the first hand and second hand. Okay, back to Arukh HaShulchan. Chavav. L'vajit tzor kli, besides needing a vessel, otzuchim shiavo mayim koch nosein. Water has to come from the power of a giver, person who's pouring the water, or whatever other koch we see. That's going to come from the power of a person who's putting the water on. It goes without saying that if you dunk your hands in a vessel, it doesn't work. You see, like it says, you have to wash from it, not in it. Even though we're going to see that Tevilas Adam works in a mikveh, there's a mikveh in the ground, which you can use to total your body. You can use it for washing hands. But in a vessel, lo mahani tvila, rak natila. But with using a vessel, you can't dunk your hands into the vessel. Only in the tila me'akli from the vessel they koach adam by manpower. Below koach adam without manpower, kon shaydei is a siba, such as that for some reason, the barrel inclined on its own. Maybe it's an earthquake and turned sideways. And the water spilled. You put your hands underneath the flow. It doesn't work. Because the water did not come from manpower. But what kind of a person, it doesn't matter. It says, anybody can wash hands. Even a deaf mute, person who's not sane, and a child. For the end of Isha also a woman or a non-Jew. So what about, do you really need specifically humans? Or does another animal work? Like a monkey, which can mimic human beings. There's a lot of Poskim argue as well. That it's okay. That it's not okay. Shulchan says he thinks that it is kosher even through an animal. Even though, of course, a monkey can't shecht. The shani shchita, the shchita is the raisa. And I guess more. He's saying you make it with a monkey because it's a suffix to Rabbanan and suffix to Rabbanan L'Kula, but not by Shchita, which is the Raisa. Because nevertheless, it's preferable to be Machmir. Interesting. Some people say you should not use a non-Jew or a woman who's a Nida. Okay, that is not that lacha. The Lava we're all telling me no matter what. Maybe it's a midas chasidus. It's a pious thing to do. Mishnah says, but the evidence kosher. Interesting. He says to avoid kuti or nida. Kuti meaning a goy. But the other rabbi writes that even the evidence you should go back and wash again without a bracha. But if he has no water, he can rely on this natila. Wow. Okay. Some background. Some people say a shayt of a katan, pachas ben sheish. Or some people say a cherish is no good, a shayt is good, not good, and a katan less than 6 years old is not good. And the dina ikar k'mosh kasavnu, the halacha, you can use these people. And the Mishnah writes, say it's best to not use these people. And in fact, in contradiction to what we said a few moments ago, there are even those who allow dunking hands in a vessel. Since water has to come from the power of a human being, or if a person draws water out of a canal, or miber, or shumayan, or from a well, which is a spring, and he pours the water into a pipe, which is in front of him. It goes out the water and pours in the pipe. And that's in front of the pipe. The water goes to water. So those fields, can't put your hands into the pipe before the water gets there. And then when the water comes, it spills on his hands. Because the power of the person spilling them kind of terminated when they went into the pipe, and now the pipe is causing the flow. It's not coming from human power. That's only when you put your hands in the pipe at a distance from the place where the water is being poured into the pipe. Put your hands near to the place where it's being poured. Put them literally under the flow, under the spilling. Also, the tefillah works. As long as they're still coming from the koch of the pouring, so that's considered to be koch adam. The Shabura writes that, I don't know why he brings down here and on the previous if, that some people parcel washing by cotton less than 6, because cotton has no das, but the gross says you don't have to be machmer on that. Should have been brought down. It's previous if not here, but wherever it is, that's where it is.